Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rent Free with Kory Amyx. I'm Kory Amyx, and unfortunately, Beaky won't be joining us tonight. He is currently on assignment investigating rumors that the Indiana GOP plans to replace pork tenderloins with kale wraps at this year's state fair. Sources tell me he has gone deep undercover and may never financially recover from the price of gas. Tonight, we're heading into one of the most interesting legislative races in Indiana. My guest is Nate Stout, Democratic candidate for Indiana House District 38. Now, let's be honest, most political candidates or most political observers would look at District 38 and immediately write it off as safely Republican territory. It's a district that has been represented by the same Republican lawmaker for more than 15 years. And one Democrats haven't seriously competed in for quite some time. But I have a lot of respect for anyone willing to put their name on a ballot, knock on doors, shake hands, and have conversations in communities where people assume they don't stand a chance. That's what democracy is supposed to look like. Tonight isn't about national politics. It isn't about cable news, talking points, or whatever outrage social media is obsessed with this week. It's about Indiana. It's about rural communities. It's about healthcare, schools, property taxes, jobs, and whether people feel like their voices are actually being heard in Indiana. Nate is also someone who doesn't fit neatly into the stereotype many people have of Democrats. He's a gun owner, a deer hunter, a father, and he's trying to make the case that Democrats still have something to offer rural Indiana. So we're going to spend the next 90 minutes talking about his campaign, the issues facing District 38, the state of Indiana politics, and the bigger question hanging over all of this. Can Democrats ever become competitive in rural Indiana again? Or have they simply stopped speaking a language many Hoosiers recognize? As always, I want this to be a conversation. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and those of you who are politically homeless, I want you to jump into the comments and let us know what you think. Nate, welcome to the show. Let me jump. There you go.
Hey, Kory.
How are you doing?
You know, if I look a little sun-kissed, it's because I was out knocking doors in Battleground tonight. So
that's awesome. How did that go?
You know, it went pretty well. We started a little before 5, and so people were just getting home. And, you know, obviously door knocking makes some people nervous, but it's really refreshing because people do want to be listened to, and they want to give you their perspective. And that's what I'm trying to do is bring the rural perspective to Indianapolis next year.
Door knocking when I was running for Congress was one of my favorite things to do. It was actually the most favorite thing for me to do. Do you have a specific favorite thing that you enjoy doing that's part of your campaign?
Yeah, I think having a conversation that goes beyond kind of the surface level, because, you know, some people, they just want to take your lit and kind of say, oh, thanks, and shut the door. And I try not to push too hard. But when you get someone comfortable enough where they want to tell you their background and share their life experience, I mean, I love that stuff. It's part of, you know, in business, your net worth is your network, which that means if you enjoy meeting a lot of people, you got a pretty valuable network. So it's a good fit for me as far as canvassing and meeting people. I love it.
Awesome. Well, you know, tell me about your decision to run for office. I still remember the day that you called me and told me that you were going to run.
Yeah. So I probably talked myself in and out of it a couple of times, to be honest. But what really pushed me over the edge, I think, was just the general lack of customer service I felt on the other end of the line when I was talking to the current representative. I had some genuine concerns about water being taken from my side of the county to go back across Howard County, where this new data center or battery plant or whatever, we don't know, is going. And, you know, I've been fortunate to have a really pretty cool career, but I've always worked for companies that are outside of Indiana. And as a result, I thought, what better way to really understand the place that I've chosen to live most of my life than to, run for office. At a minimum, I'm going to give the incumbent somebody to fight against. And we've had some guys run against him in the past, but in a world where you have a lot of straight ticket voting and the money seems to flow pretty easily to one side of the ticket, it has been a difficult battle in these rural districts.
Yeah. Speaking of the incumbent Vanatter, it's he's been going on 15 years, right?
Yep.
Have you run into a lot of Vanatter supporters while you're door knocking, or are you seeing the tides kind of shifting?
I think, honestly, I think state legislature has flown under the radar for a lot of people, because if you think about the amount of bandwidth you can really put towards politics, let's say you have the national stuff, if you're watching national media, what's happening all over the country, and then you add in your county politics alone would be a full plate. But the state, it's every 2 years for the House. It's kind of, you're seeing the same guy every couple of years. Honestly, I don't really know if he's that well known, other than he's won multiple times. They know his name from signs, but like beyond that, it's kind of a sleeper position, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. Did you see the recent news about Max Engling, the Republican nominee for Secretary of State, wanting to close the elections? Yeah, I think that's. I think they understand that the tides are turning, and I think that's why they want to do it. They know that even Republicans don't want to vote for them.
Right. Well, and they've been slowly making voting more difficult. Even in the primary in our county, we lost, I believe, 4 voting sites, which
a lot of counties did. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, the opportunity to vote is the most important thing that we have, so that we can all say, hey, at least we voted. We made our voice heard.
Right.
They also, in January, they put forward legislation about killing ranked choice voting. Are you familiar with ranked choice voting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Me too, right? There are so many common sense solutions. And
well, common sense is kind of lacking on the right side right now.
Yes, there's a lot of turmoil over there, but yeah, there's a better way. Other states have been doing elections differently, more efficiently. But we got to get new leaders elected if we're going to make those changes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your background. You've worked in hospitality for 2 decades. What lessons from that industry would lawmakers benefit from learning?
Well, that might have been a miscalculation. I spent a couple of years in hospitality.
Okay, my fault. I'm gonna have to get after Beaky. He messed up the research.
Beaky, you can't always trust him. I started my career in the golf industry. I worked for Callaway Golf for 11 years.
Okay.
Off and on, I did leave and come back. Then I worked for a company called Johnson Outdoors. They are a conglomerate of brands. I worked in the fishing business, but I've always worked for big brands and called on, national accounts. I've done a lot of that type of work. So I've called on Walmart. I've sold to Amazon, Dick's Sporting Goods, all the big retailers you can imagine. I've worked with them. I've done SMU programs where, we take a Target wants a specific golf ball or a specific glove, and we custom make a product just for them. So I've had a lot of experience in business, and the accountability that you have to have in corporate America versus the accountability you have to have in politics, it's like night and day. And I want to bring some of those mechanisms to government, because we've got to simplify. We've got to simplify everything. One thing that I've started to notice as I'm paying closer attention to local politics is that, our tax code is so complex. And when things like the state budget get rolled out at the municipal and the county level, I don't know if it's ever, I need to do more research here, but I know a lot of counties and a lot of cities hire full-time consultants to interpret the garbage that gets spit out of Indianapolis. We should all be frustrated that it's so complex. We should be demanding that we simplify all of the codes so that we know how to operate, you know?
I was talking to, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to call this person out. They'll get mad at me. But they're a sheriff in a very red county, and they said the exact same thing that you just said. They don't have a consultant, so the trying to figure out the budget for the city and all this crap that's coming through with like SB1, all the things that got cut, they didn't even know it until after the fact, and so they're pretty pissed about it. But that goes to show that shit rolls downhill, so to speak. Like, but it also that kind of applies to voting. Like, I looked at him, I was like, but you voted for this. Like, I feel bad. They're a good friend of mine, but I had to say the quiet part out loud. I was like, so and so, you voted for this. This is what you wanted. And his exact response was, yeah, well, it won't happen again. So
yeah, there's the tide is definitely turning for some people that, if you think about it, there's a lot of folks that have voted because they know that it's important, but beyond that, they haven't really dug too deep into the issues. And, when you look at what they say they're going to do and what they actually do in practice, those things are pretty far apart. And I think people are realizing that. I love Indiana. We are a smart state. We rejected redistricting when that whole nonsense thing came through.
Agreed.
I will tell you, people noticed how much money was being spent in our primaries here. And I think that turned a lot of people off. People are sick of money in politics.
Yeah.
So I remain, like you said, when you opened the show, people don't give me a lot of a chance in this race, but I don't know. That just kind of makes me even more excited to do it.
I think it's awesome. I still think it's awesome that you are doing it. I was excited when you called me to tell me that you were running. So let's talk. Let's paint a picture. Okay, what does District 38 actually look like? How many small town, largest employers, major industries, median income? Because there's lots of viewers from around the state and even outside the state, and we do have some viewers in Europe. We've crossed the pond, which is absolutely awesome. Yeah, like I've gone global, which is pretty freaking cool. So I want you to paint the picture for people who don't live in the area.
Yeah, so there's a total of 6 counties in District 38, starting kind of and you can see the map behind me. Yep. Lots of jagged edges over here. Tipton County, it's all of Tipton County. You go up and you get Western Howard County. So towns like Rushville. Then you get part of Clinton County, the northeast corner of Clinton County, Michigantown. Then it goes up all of Carroll County as part of the district. Okay. And then you have Cass, Southern Cass, so Galveston, Walton, all the way over. And then where I was tonight in Tippecanoe Township, Battleground in Tippecanoe County.
Oh, Battleground. I can't say, I was just talking to Drew Cox about Battleground. I can't say why yet. I'm working on a special project, but if you know my love of Huskies, you might figure out why I'm going to Battleground. What's in Battleground? Do you know?
I mean, I know there's a lot of things in Battleground, but I'm not tying the Husky thing together.
What do Huskies look like?
Wolves.
Yep, there you go.
The wolf sanctuary?
I'm no comment yet. I'm working on it. There might be I've reached out to them about a special series with them, and there's a couple other wolf reservations in the state of Indiana that I've actually reached out to. That I've got some videographers lined up that we're going to be filming some educational things, because again, people don't think about it, but changes from this administration has really hurt even places like there. So that's all. I'm not going to go into what it's going to be about, or even I can tell you when it happens. It will be. We may do some live spots from there, but it's going to be pre-recorded and edited videos. Like I'm bringing on a professional videographer for this. So
well, and you know, that's really cool. And Battleground itself, I mean, Natasha Baker organized the Heartland folks, Bob Gump and his team. They organized a canvassing night with Natasha. Drew wasn't there, but we had lit. I gave it all away, but we had all three of us on our lit tonight because we met each other early in the game, being a part of the Rural Summit, also being very new to politics. We're all kind of, I mean, Natasha's younger than us, but Drew and I are kind of the same age. So I've really enjoyed getting to know the three of them. But back to the district, you know, the demographics, and full transparency, I don't have the, you know, median income by town, but if you look at Delphi, you look at Tipton, I would call them kind of the larger population centers. Obviously, Tipton County's huge, but and then you got Flora, and then you kind of have all these, I would call them mid-sized towns. And what's frustrating for me, hey, there's Harrison. I'll tell you a story about that kid later, but
hey, Brianna. We got the recovered Republican in the house. Keep going. I'm gonna keep displaying some messages as you're talking.
No, that's cool. I just squirrel.
I know, same. That you're on the right podcast, because that's this is the Squirrel Podcast.
Yeah, well, it happens to the best of us, but I think as far as the makeup of the district, it's very similar, and it seems like we're feeling the same impacts of some of the budget bill fallout. We're facing the same types of things with school district consolidation requests and lack of enrollment in schools. There's funding gaps. So what I think is unique about it is that we're all experiencing the same kind of things. In Tipton County, you know, they've had to reshuffle the chief of police, the fire chief. I know in Kokomo, they're negotiating firefighter contracts now. But I grew up in Tipton. That's where I'm from. And so I feel uniquely qualified to talk about what makes those towns. Because what's important in Delphi is what's important in Tipton. They love their kids. They love their small town community feel. They love that when a storm goes through or something happens, the community pitches in. And so that's kind of that's how I view my district. It's a bunch of really good people that are starting to get left behind because, you know, the way they're changing the tax structure, we can't compete with the funding of these bigger counties.
Yeah, I know Tipton really well. One of my fraternity brothers, I spent a lot of time there in college. Shout out to the Tragasers. They're in town. That's my fraternity brother's friend. I know they've known me since I was 18 years old. So, fun. Good shout out to them. Well, what do you think people outside the district don't understand?
I don't know if this makes sense, but I think that we are a very people don't like to ask for help in our district. We are very, you just figure it out. That's the kind of people that we are.
Sure. Do you think it's a little bit of pride too?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And, you know, what's frustrating is that a lot of Indiana, you know, especially kind of that lower to upper middle class area, has been able to survive. And, you know, when I was growing up, we had multiple grocery stores in Tipton. We had 4 elementary schools. Class sizes weren't crazy. So they've seen a lot of change, and there's a lot of confusion as to why. And, you know, so there's a lot of worked up people right now because they thought everything was fine, and now all of a sudden they're realizing, wait a minute, kind of like what you were saying earlier. Wait a minute, why do we have to have a local income tax increase because of funding cuts? And so there's a lot of people really waking up right now. And the one thing that's great about small town folks is that
they talk.
they talk, and once they get over the edge, once they kind of it clicks, they're going to tell everybody they know, because they know how important the fundamentals of community are, right?
Mm-hmm. Having grown up in a small town, I grew up in Connorsville, much like Tipton, and you know, much like Kokomo, much like a lot of that area. It's, you know, telephone, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, and it's now across the town. Like, and I think we see this across the district. I know when I was knocking on doors, it was something that I experienced. People aren't invested in what's happening until it hits their pocketbook. It hits that wallet, and buddy, all hell's about to break loose. And I think a lot of Indiana, all hell is about to break loose. The Republicans have taken advantage of Hoosiers, the left and the right. They don't care, whatever's padded their pockets the most. And I think that it's time to pay the piper. The people know. And I think we'll see that in the general election. Do you are you seeing that same thing?
Yeah, I like I said, I think there are people. Indiana is full of smart people, and they are realizing that, yeah, it's not adding up, especially in places like Carroll County and Tipton County, where, you know, I'll give you an example with the voucher program, right? Mm-hmm. At a minimum, most people agree that, or they don't really even understand that we've eliminated all the qualifications for that program, that basically anybody, that doesn't matter how much money you make, you can qualify to pick up that money to go to a private school. Well, what choices do you have in Carroll County for a private education? And it takes a lot of resources to get there. And when you think about every year, so this year alone, $497 million was taken from the public education fund, right?
Right.
There's 92 counties, right? That's quick, rough math. It's a little over $5 million a county per year that we're giving to private institutions that represent 15% of the academic institutions in Indiana. That does not make financial sense.
I agree.
And people are seeing that now. I mean, they're starting to nod. That's when I say that they're nodding along, and that's kind of how I'm gauging, you know, people's willingness to change a little bit.
Sure. Well, let's talk about agriculture. Indiana farmers lost hundreds of millions of dollars in exports during recent trade disputes. Are farmers talking about tariffs? Do they support them, or are they blaming Washington?
No, they know what's up. They know that they trusted Trump to set policy that would secure their ability to sell product for the best price that they could. And what ended up happening is that there's a lot of guys that still don't know what to do, and they're holding on, which creates this, you know, as the corn's already getting, it's not 4th of July and it's already well past knee high.
Yep.
Right. They understand that they're starting to realize, like, why are they dictating where we can sell our product? Like, why are they in it so much? And I try to remind people that, you know, big government was always a problem for the right, yet the government seems to be dictating everything now, from global trade to, you know, putting the 10 Commandments in every school, and they're forcing a lot of agendas that farmers don't like. They're good once you get past, like, where they kind of realize that you're not really holding up your end of the deal. I think you're going to see a lot of them show up and vote for the other party this year.
That's I've noticed that during my campaign from the 6th district as well with the rural farmers, that a lot of them were supportive of this administration until they weren't. And this is the point where they're not. They're done.
And not all farmers, every farmer is a little bit unique. There's some guys that, they don't get any kind of subsidy for what they produce. Hey guys, they don't get any help when you go through a drought or anything like that. But the consolidation of industry, there's only a handful of guys that you can get chemical from now.
Yep.
That drives prices up. They know that competition, all this stuff, what John Deere's doing with forcing you to use a technician versus being able to work on your own equipment.
Right.
They got a lot of reasons to change their mind this November.
Yeah. And I hope that they do.
Me too.
I hope that they do.
Me too.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about mental health. All right. Indiana is around 41st, 42nd in mental health access. How hard is it to get counseling in your district?
Well, I want to give a shout out to the Mental Health Association because I know they work hard to educate. And I was fortunate to talk to a group of high schoolers. Gosh, this was back in November, right after I'd kind of told people that I was running for office and getting some of these invites. But we got to just continue to over provide or, educate people on the opportunities, because it is a scary time. And when you have legislators, there was a bill, I don't remember the name the number off the top of my head, but it was forcing, religious counseling versus licensed trained counselors. I believe in science. I think that there is a method to talking to people in vulnerable states. And, you just mentioned farmers. Farmers have one of the highest suicide rates of any profession. And it kills me that, we talked about pride, and a lot of those guys built a business with their blood, sweat, and tears, and things totally out of their control have them probably wringing their hands pretty hard right now with input costs going up. The prices don't seem to be, doing anything other than flatlining, or just the cost of inputs with fuel costs going up and down. I mean, how do you plan your business when your fuel costs might go up 30% for a third of the year? I
wonder why small farms are selling out to corporations, and why they're not continuing on in families. The kids of farmers don't want to deal with that.
Well, what a great opportunity to pass down and keep something in a family. But to your point, if the numbers don't work, how are you going to make a kid, someone that inherited that farm, not choose to sell? It's tough, but mental health is incredibly important. These rural schools, we've had tragedies. I mean, it seems like it's every year you lose a couple of kids to, as someone that's on social media a lot, I'm grateful that it came into my life later when I wasn't quite so impressionable. But there's a real challenge there. There's an opportunity. We've never been more connected. I love certain aspects of social media, like getting to know people like you from across the state that may not have crossed paths other ways.
Right.
But there's also this really dangerous side, and, the bullying and the anonymous accounts, and, I don't know how we fix it, but clearly we need to make sure every student, every person in the community knows how to get a hold of either the Mental Health Association in that area, or, if you're at a school, that these counselors are proactively providing information to get these kids somebody to talk to, because unfortunately they might not feel safe to talk to anybody around them.
I agree. Do you think that schools are carrying too much of that burden?
I I don't know.
Kind of a loaded question, isn't it?
That is a loaded question. I think everyone is trying their best. That's a mantra of mine. I have yet to find someone who's intentionally being bad at what they are doing, whether it's, but yeah, I don't know. It's changed so much. I mean, when I graduated from high school in 99, so I'm 45. I remember we just started learning about, do you remember like self-esteem stuff?
Oh yeah. I remember that because I graduated in 97, just a couple years before you.
Yeah. So that was kind of just starting when we were in elementary school.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is incredibly important. Understanding how to regulate your emotions as someone who has not always regulated my emotions in my career, in my life. Understanding how to do that at a young age is extremely powerful. And again, it's something that, like, as a state legislator, you have the ability to make some influence on how these topics are covered. The state government, they're the ones who got rid of cursive handwriting. They're the ones that put us all on Chromebooks. We can make some changes, and we could say, we need to make a priority getting those classes about self-esteem and about bullying and at a young age so that we get through, because I'm sure that's got to help in some regard. So
I would agree. And I might reach out to you to see, I had Michael Cole. He's a psychotherapist. He was on the show a couple weeks ago, and we did kind of a whole episode on psychology of social media and different things. And we're actually planning a few new episodes about nostalgia. And people think, oh, we're going to talk about like 90s toys and Gen X shit. We are. Like, I'm not even going to deny it. We totally are. But we're going to talk more about those things of like where politics could change. We always hear, for you and I, we're Gen X or millennial. Are you millennial?
I was born in 81.
I was 79, that in between weird. So we're in that generation, but where we look at people are like, oh, the boomers, but every generation does it. I remember my parents going, well, back in my time, back when we were kids, there are things that we miss now in our 40s and 50s. That I think that we can tie some of this political things, the changes that have happened, like the Chromebooks, like the getting rid of cursive, those things will be part of that conversation too. So I'll make sure to send you an invite if you've got the free time to come on. If you don't, you can. It's okay. It'll be a fun episode. It's really not supposed to be about politics in general like this. It is going to be the more fun, nostalgic thing, but we're going to get serious too at the same time.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Well, let's talk about education. Indiana ranks 47th in education. Teacher pay is near the bottom nationally. Do parents we kind of hit on vouchers. Are parents mentioning that to you right now when you're knocking doors?
Yeah, I lead with public education because that's my number one priority. And it is it's universally agreed upon that teachers aren't paid enough. Most people will mention that they can't believe that they have to do the Amazon wish list thing every year, right? Most people that I talk to as I'm knocking on doors, they are pro teacher, and they know that they've been put in a tough spot in the last few years. Everyone thinks the teachers union has been this big behemoth, but they've not been able to collectively bargain for quite some time now, right? Yeah. I think it's 2011. So yeah, that's a unifying issue. People know that we need to have good education, because if you don't educate your youth, what are you have to trust them at some point. And you talked about our generation. I would love it if we were the last generation to not just dunk on kids by default by saying, oh, well, because of how I grew up, I know we need to be listening. We need to be open.
Right.
Because I think that's we're uniquely positioned in a pre-internet, post-internet life where we had enough development pre-internet that,
we are the feral generation.
We are. But I'm optimistic. I have two kids that are, 18 and 15, and they're bright lights. Like I'm excited for the future. So hope to keep that narrative going.
Well, Beaky did leave me a question, and he said, Nate, be honest. If legislators had to survive 1 month on a substitute teacher salary, would education funding magically improve?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good question.
Yeah, it depends. Like, some guys, they might still do it for the perks of going to a Pacer game and things like that. But no, I think that they would be shocked at how little that money goes. And frankly, if you're responsible, I view the responsibility of legislature that the quality of students that are getting, pumped out of our schools, regardless of zip code, they should be proud of that. And when you think about what they're asking teachers to do, and, we've dropped a lot of our standards for teachers in terms of qualifications just to get bodies in buildings.
Right.
But yeah, that's a great Beaky. He must, he gets it. He understands that.
It's almost as if he worked in education. Who knew?
Yeah. It's weird.
So let's talk about healthcare. Indiana ranks among the worst states for access to care. 32 counties have no obstetrics. I never can say that word right. 42 counties lack labor and delivery. What does healthcare look like for District 38?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're following a lot of those trends where OB care is a drive, and it's tough because across hospitals consolidating and then building these behemoth structures. Have you seen the IU Health building on 31 between, like, just north of Westfield?
Yes, I have.
It's gigantic.
Gigantic, yeah.
And we got to figure out how to do a better job of, distributing care, especially core basic stuff. And we need to ask companies like IU Health and others to come to the table to solve some problems that affect both of us. I'll give you an example. In Monticello, they actually killed this program after the mayor didn't win re-election. But I don't know if you're familiar with Medicare and reimbursements. Mm-hmm. If you come back within 30 days, the hospital will not get paid for that first visit. So that was causing issues. People are going to the hospital, getting care, going home. They don't have transportation. They don't have access to their meds. They end up back 20 days later. And we just keep chasing our tail. Well, instead of the government stepping in, IU Health worked with the fire department and found a volunteer fireman who was willing to take shifts when they knew they had a Medicare patient that they needed to keep an eye on for 30 days. They just paid that volunteer fireman, I don't know what the financial arrangement was, but they paid him directly as kind of a side gig to take care of, keep an eye on these patients so that they made it to past that 30 days. And it was like a win-win. But it was kind of suggested by the city council or the mayor at the time. And then she doesn't win re-election and the program dies. So we're seeing the same challenges, but we're also very resilient. And I think we just got to stay focused on solutions. And if we can have one win in one of the towns in District 38, maybe we can take that and apply it across, the other areas in the district.
So how far do you think people are driving right now for you guys?
Oh gosh, I don't know what the stat is, but I want to say it's over 30 minutes for basic. The average drive time is 30 minutes for rural Indiana. But it's longer.
I saw that in Randolph County too, that they were pushing. It was 45 minutes for them.
Yeah.
I think they were from Randolph County to Ball Memorial, actually, in Muncie.
Yeah, and It depends. I mean, if you're in a very remote corner of the district, if you're in Carroll County, you might be able to go to Logan Sport, but they've had some consolidation of their hospitals up in Cass County. Then you could go to Lafayette, but again, 30, 40 minutes is not, that's
well, I mean,
for everybody.
What is it? If you're having a heart attack, there's the golden hour.
Right.
And, you just spent half of it on the road. And then God knows with everybody doing that, the wait time and waiting rooms are going to be ungodly.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about your competition. Vanatter. I'm trying to remember his first name. Heath.
Yeah.
Heath
I don't
Vanatter.
give him any free press, by the way. I intentionally don't really talk about his name,
right?
But we can definitely talk about his voting history.
Yeah, he has consistently aligned himself with policies favored by utilities, developers, and business interests while drawing opposition from consumer advocates, labor organizations, and environmental groups. Consumer advocates have repeatedly given Vanatter poor marks for votes that they say favor utility companies over ratepayers. Environmental groups opposed his support for weakening Indiana's wetland protections and limiting local control over certain energy projects. He's also a home builder by trade. Critics have questioned whether lawmakers with ties to the construction industry should be writing housing and development laws and he's got no ethics violations or formal complaints that have been substantiated, at least. For voters in House District 38, the question may not be whether Vanatter has been embroiled in a scandal. The question is whether 15 years in office has produced a damn thing of any results. Has he produced any results in 15 years? Because from my research, it truly hasn't looked like it.
No, and I don't know what he's passionate about. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish in being a leader. It's certainly not being out in the community, to steal a Trumpism. I'm not going to call him this, but people call him Van No Show because he just doesn't show up to things in the district.
And I would tell you that more research came to that. I found more things saying, "Oh, another no-show for Vanatter." That's actually a thing on the internet for him.
Yeah, he doesn't come to debates, which will be interesting to see if he comes to a debate with me.
Would you do one here if I could get him?
Anytime.
All right, here's the public challenge to Heath Vanatter. Get your ass on here. Let's do a debate.
I don't think he's gonna, but I would love it because at the end of the day, we do need to. It's about ideas and strategies on how we get the maximum benefit for the least amount of government. They've done a great job of painting the narrative of anybody that's not a Republican in Indiana is a loony bin. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case. And if you believe someone all the time, that's very dangerous. I don't believe myself half the time. No, but you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know where I was.
One of the things that I've learned, I think, let's break it down. Kind of the simpler things that we were talking about earlier. Have wages meaningfully improved in District 38 in the last 15 years?
No.
Are families paying less for utilities?
No.
Are roads better?
No.
Loaded question.
Well, and we talked earlier about getting money out of politics. I mean,
yep.
My competitor, he gets 5 figures minimum from both Duke, NIPSCO. There's a utility PAC that donates to him. And so I don't understand why people are still on the fence of whether that's a conflict of interest or not. He's also a board member, or he is the state representative for ALEC. Are you familiar with ALEC? ALEC, the American Legislative Executive Council or something like that. They're a federal legislative body that push, they were in a documentary a while back about how they supply a lot of the Republican legislation. It's driven by mostly manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, but they're a huge influence. So anyway, I don't know how. Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just don't understand how people aren't connecting the dots that we have got to get money out of politics. How are you ever going to trust somebody that is voting in the interest of the people when they have a vested interest? So like, he's getting legislation given to him that he is then passing along. I don't know what he is advocating for in Indianapolis to make anything better. He's been pro-voucher. He voted for the land use bill, which gives more power to the government in terms of deeming land agriculturally viable or not. He voted for the House Bill 1042. He helped co-sponsor this one. It's a crypto bill. They want to add crypto as an option in the state retirement plans. And if you ask me, the Republicans have been on a mission, especially with Trump having a coin, to legitimize cryptocurrency. Now, as a fiscal conservative and someone that talks to his financial advisor, they don't want me to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, so, no, I would agree.
So why is the government?
Because that's how you launder money.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And how you scam old people.
Yep.
So I would just say about my competitor is that he is, I'm sure he's a fine person and all that, but I don't know where his heart is in terms of serving the public, because he doesn't come out and talk to them very often. I might get some flack about that I make a lot of videos, but I think that's the best thing that we imagine, the opportunity to share your thoughts with the world and you don't take advantage of it.
Exactly. I agree. I think your use of social media has been probably one of the top notch ones that I've seen.
Really?
Yeah, you have. You've done a really good job with it.
Well, thank you. And I have to give credit. I have a social media manager, Tiffany. She keeps me relatively organized and making videos is not for the easy.
It's hard. Right? Have you been saving? Okay, I got to ask, since I get what it's like to run, since I have my congressional campaign. Have you been saving your fuck up videos, so to speak? Like, because it's the thing I didn't do. I was deleting them, and I saw I can't. Mamdani, thank you.
Yeah.
He did the bloopers video, and I was like, that's brilliant. Like, to let people see that side of you was absolutely brilliant of him to do it. So Tiffany, if he's not saved those things, do a blooper reel. I want to see a blooper reel for Nate for the videos.
Well, and she's doing a great job. And I will look back through. I don't know if I have saved. What my method is, either record them on my phone and then I edit them. And TikTok is such an easy tool to edit videos. So I usually start there, and I'll have to go back and look. That's a good point. I haven't been actively, saving them, but I don't know that I've.
Yeah, it looks like she likes the idea. Tiffany, get a hold of me. I got some blooper reel ideas for you that you can use. I actually wrote them down for my campaign, so I'm not going to use them. I'll give them to you. Let me ask. I'm going to go to viewer question. Karen Wogenstall. She lives here in Hancock County. She asked, "How do you plan to pull over reformed Republican and those who are on the fence?"
I think most people agree on term limits. And I think if there was ever an opportunity to give a different guy a chance, it's this year. They are, I would say I am not one to, I'm not a super conflict heavy guy. I feel like I get along with just about anybody. And so I'm not here to yell at you for believing something that didn't turn out to be true. I'm ready to welcome ideas, challenge. Like, we got to start talking to each other. So these people that are on the fence, I think my openness to feedback, I try to stay engaged between Tiffany and I both. we're responsive to comments. I'm starting to get some trolls now, which is fun. But yeah, we want to be accessible, because I think that makes a huge difference in a representative.
Well, good answer. And to speak to trolls, I think you and I we may have talked about my previous life as a whistleblower and handling trolls. You reach out to me, you let me know, and I'll definitely be able to take care of any that you might need taken care of.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to jump backwards a little bit. This is a question that I wanted to ask about Vanatter, and I'm going to hold you to this. What grade do you give him for his time in office? A, B, C, D, or F, and why?
Well, I hate to give a guy, a complete F, but
if they earn it, they earn it.
Yeah, I would say a solid D. He has, like, I did hear that he came to like a ribbon cutting at a water tower, whatever. But I've tried not to, my approach with politics is the same with business. I've sold a lot of really cool brands, and I'm selling a brand right now, which is me.
Right.
And when I'm selling me, I don't care about anybody else but me. But you do have to look at the votes that have been cast. He's been pro voucher the whole way. He has been pro government overreach. He's been pro economic development that's, to me, gotten too big for government. So that, plus the lack of visibility. I mean, I don't think that unless you find a radio ad or something, I don't even know if people know what his voice sounds like. Like, he's not accessible.
I couldn't find videos. I couldn't find videos.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
I genuinely looked. I tried to find town halls, even mentions of town halls.
Nothing.
Like, the dude's a ghost.
Yeah. He does come to the House sessions, but again, those are always behind a paywall, usually at an event or a chamber of commerce where you got to spend, 30 to
$50 for a lunch.
Yeah, for a lunch, which that's usually how it goes. But at a minimum, with social media and the internet being what it is, every representative should have some level. There should be a baseline level of content that they should be required to produce to educate the people in the district about what's going on.
I agree.
Hiding behind a once a quarter meeting is, to me, way too little. I had someone ask me about civics and public education, about being visible in the district. And I think what a great opportunity to come and how often has he visited schools to see what the teachers are actually saying? Like, that's the kind of representative I want to be.
Have you had a chance, speaking of schools, sorry, have you been able to go visit the schools even as a candidate? Because I know some districts, some counties, I got to do that as a congressional candidate.
Yes.
Some of the schools, but some of the schools wouldn't allow it. So I'm always curious to see I know you have a passion for education like I do. So,
yeah. Other than, I have not forced, a visit of any kind yet, but I do talk to a lot of different, teachers across the districts.
Sure.
And one of the things on my website that I really do want to develop this is a district council. I know people don't have enough bandwidth to volunteer for one more thing, but I bet you I could probably find a teacher or two, maybe in a few different counties, that would serve as a pulse check for me, pre-legislative session, during the legislative session, maybe after. Of course, all these groups have their lobbying groups that are down in Indianapolis, but I want to talk to the people that live here. Not everyone has the resources to travel to Indianapolis and to speak, right, and to come to meetings. It should be the level of service of the representative to at least be in the district visibly a couple times a quarter, with recurring known places, so that we can start to build a relationship with people that are making the decisions for us.
I think it's a fantastic idea. In my congressional campaign, I actually did something similar. with a council, and I had veterans council, I had a disability awareness council, and I had teachers. I had over 20 teachers. I would encourage you, reach out to those teachers, find the ones that are really passionate for their jobs, have them help you build it. When you give them the ownership, they're going to be more involved. That's at least that was from my experience. But I think you're right. I love that idea of having that council, because it does help you. And I think every politician, whether you're in town council, whether you're running for state house, whether you're running for Senate or the U.S. House, I think having a council of voters that are there to help you. That's because as a politician, you are the hand of the people. Yeah. And what better way to stay connected than them to be working with you and helping to advise you. So I commend you on that idea. Vicky's got a question. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. He asked, do you think representatives become complacent when districts stop being competitive?
From a Democrat versus Republican standpoint?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general, I'd have to go back because I moved back to Indiana in 2013. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
You know, I think anytime there's not competition, it does become stagnant.
Yeah,
they get lazy. They rest on their ass and do nothing. Like they have no reason to put forth any effort because they know they're just going to get elected again.
Yeah, well,
that's kind of the way I've felt for quite a while, and I've watched it happen across multiple, from when I lived in Delaware County to here in Hancock County, and even back home in Connorsville.
Well, and straight ticket voting enables a lot of that too, right? Yeah. Because like I said, if you're laying in the weeds and the Republicans just keep winning, the lower you lay, the better. And from the insiders that I've talked to, my competitor has been kind of a funder of other campaigns that matter. Mm-hmm. Like, and you know, this is not a joke, but like people are scared to say that they're a Democrat in places like District 38, because you'll get people that want to cuss you down immediately just because you say I'm voting for Democrats or I'm, you know, but yeah, we've got more people running on the Democratic ticket than ever this year. I think it's since like the 70s. I think
it's awesome. Since the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it definitely gets less, it definitely is going to be less competitive, and that should frustrate people that live in the district, because we should want somebody that's in the mix in Indianapolis, not somebody that's just laying low. And, you know, again, I would love to find out what he's passionate about. What does he want to make sure happens? One thing, have you researched the Sunbucks program at all from this year?
The Sunbucks, I did, and I was pretty pissed off about it, to be honest. Yeah, that it was cut off. That Braun cut it off.
That's another example of like,
that was $772,000, I think. Am I right?
It was in the millions. It was in the millions. It was in the millions, and supposedly it was going to cost a few $1 million from the state to administer the program. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If we're getting, you know, it was tens of millions of dollars in aid, and it's going to cost us a few $1 million to execute it. They just said, no, we're not going to do it. Instead of, why didn't we talk to all the United Ways? Why didn't we talk to every, you know, nonprofit to figure out a way to because guess what happens without this? I'm in Rotary and we do buddy bags.
Yeah.
And that's through the school year. Well, in the summertime, you know, there's even more need because these kids aren't at school.
Yeah.
I just want to sit these guys down and ask them, why couldn't we figure that out? Why was taking that federal aid away from kids who need food, why was that the right decision?
Because math is hard. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to. It sometimes I genuinely think that they don't want to use their brain.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense whatsoever. Tiffany, I 1,000% agree. Sunbucks loss can be devastating for so many families. I mean, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? The people who are hungry. It's going to come to me. I can't think. I hate when that happens.
That's right.
The problem with having ADD is that your Adderall wears off near the evening and then your brain stops working. So welcome to Rent Free, folks.
Yeah.
Not food deserts.
Just food insecurity.
Food insecurity. Thank you. Yeah. Food insecurity is at an all-time high in Indiana, and they cut the Sunbucks program. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
But what's great about Indiana, and what I would love for us to not have to do all the time, is that people mobilize. There are nonprofits and even candidates. I mean, Operation Blue Horizon. There have been multiple groups that are doing things to, whether it's having a food drive somewhere around a protest, or if it's just reminding people, hey, these food banks need our help. I mean, remember, I think it was this past fall where there was a ton of insecurity because they froze all the SNAP benefits, and it's just been one thing after another. So,
and I think we'll see it start to happen again. I'm very glad to see that a judge overturned the ban on the sugary snacks for SNAP. I know that sounds strange to people, but like, dear God, if somebody's on food stamps, they're not exactly living high on the hog, right? Yeah. Those parents should be able to buy the materials they need to make a birthday cake for their kids. Quit worrying about what they're putting in lunch boxes and start worrying about maybe what they're putting in their wallet, and pay them more so that they can get off of these programs. Nate, I'm going to ask something that may annoy everyone. I do want to roll back. Shout out to Operation Blue Horizon. That is extremely important. Tiffany, thank you for saying that. Is Indiana Democratic politics too online?
No.
Do you think that they're online and relying too much on social media?
Well, you can't ignore the power of social media for sure. But are you talking about just like the dirty laundry, all of infighting and whatnot?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's okay. And I think that we have to do this, and we have to have it out in the open. We have to let people say their piece. I used this example earlier today about, team sports, whether it was a sport or, I was in show choir and we did competitions. So it doesn't have to be sports, but when you're doing something with a group, there are times where everyone's going to yell at each other. And we are going through that right now because we know the moment is so big. We know that if we don't get it right this time, that it's just going to be more pain. But I'm confident that as people have started to sleep on things, they realize that we got to just make incremental gains. You're never going to cut, a sequoia with one chop. It's going to have to be a ground game. And it stinks because it's hard. What we have to do is hard. But I've been encouraged. I think even though it got a little chippy, we're gonna find our way back. I think. Look, say what you want about because everything gets tied to Bo's dad and his family.
I know. Yep.
But guess what?
We might as well talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, I don't want the sins of my father. I don't want to have on me.
I agree.
And it's all speculation.
Bo is his own man.
Bo is his own guy, and I've met him a few times. And
yep, same.
First of all,
Bo is an awesome guy. I like Bo. I was a state delegate that voted for Blythe.
Yeah.
And I like Bo. Bo is just he's a nice dude. I got to spend lots of time with him.
Well, and we need to remember too, like, you know, he lost his mom in a tragic age.
Yeah.
He is a absolute. I mean, he is peak. He's military trained, but he understands the pain and the things that we've got to fix on the social side of things. But at the end of the day, he's running for Secretary of State. He's trying to make sure that we protect our elections. He's trying to do things like not have closed primaries. He's going to do things like ensure better voting access for everybody. Because if you are not a fan of everyone getting the chance to voice their opinion, I don't know that you learned the same American history that I did.
Yep. I agree. We talk about the trolls, but that's part of democracy is being able to have that. What I like to call is the real true trolls, the people who are giving us guff, so to speak, not the hateful, mean.
People.
No, that's something different. But
to put a bow on that, though, no pun intended. I think that we should all be really excited about the opportunity because he has to appeal to a wider set of Hoosiers.
Oh yeah, I mean you got the labor Democrats, you've got the Democratic Socialists, the progressives, the centrists. You've got, I mean, the Democrats isn't like Republicans where it's all neatly under one little small, they're conservative. You've got the Democratic Coalition, which is a gigantic ass tent that has all kinds of different people that he has to appeal to. And you're not going to get everybody to like you.
Right. And
the key is to try.
Yeah. And I think
he's trying.
I think he is. But I'm just excited because there's a lot of energy coming from a lot of different places. One other group I wanted to mention is the Rural Summit and Michelle Higgs.
Shout out to Michelle. I'll be talking to I'm got a phone call with her this Sunday.
Good.
There's a bunch of us that influencers. I don't like calling myself an influencer now, but I'm just a person. But all of us that do podcasts and shows.
That's great. Yeah, I think she's doing some different work because that group is kind of it is a nonpartisan group, but it highlights the issues that we are worried about in District 38 are very similar across the state in these rural districts.
Right.
And we're facing the same challenges. People are too scared to I don't want to say too scared. People are intimidated to run as a Democrat in rural districts. I mean, you look at how, Natasha Baker gets trolled on a daily basis. Like I get it.
She gets it too.
She gets it. And she
gets it.
She
does such a great job with it. Shout out Natasha if you're watching.
Yeah. And she works hand to God. I've never seen anybody work harder than her, and she's on it every day. But anyway, to sum up, I think it's just we got time to November. People were really amped up, and they rightfully so. Blythe is an incredible candidate. She is so articulate, and she's got the experience in a lot of ways that will help us in terms of building coalitions. And I think we're all going to start rowing the same direction, and I'm going to will it to be.
Yeah. It's exciting to see that happening. And I have to say, from an online perspective too, let's take that same question, but I want to apply it to the party as a whole, not even from the state of Indiana. I mean, across the US, when we look at what's happening, do you think that Democrats are behind on their social media presence? Look at Trump. Look at the propaganda that's been coming out for the last 10 years. I mean, open up Facebook, and I'm not just talking to you, Nate. Everybody who's listening right now, think about your Facebook feed. How many random weird ass political pages you've seen show up that you don't follow in your feed promoting Republican propaganda? I can't tell you how many that has happened on Facebook this year. It used to be much better on Facebook prior to the last year, but Zuckerberg bent the knee to Trump. X was one of the worst places. I mean, in my years as a whistleblower, when I was dealing with the market manipulation and targeting of GameStop and AMC and all the other meme stocks, the common denominator that to this day I still don't know what happened after I turned that file in was every one of the manipulators were also pumping Trump propaganda. Now you can't tell me, this is my opinion, you can't tell me that wasn't organized.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and the Republicans, I got to give props where props are due. They got organized. It may be North Korean style propaganda tactics, but they're doing it. And you even heard President Biden and his goodbye speech kind of make reference to social media. Yeah. Do you think that, are you seeing the same thing? Would you agree or do you disagree?
I think Democrats have tried to beat Republicans at their own game to a certain extent. But the money, we are not going to win the money game. We're not going to, ever.
Agreed.
So I think we have to utilize all of the tools that we have. And what's crazy is it seems like it continues to get more fragmented because you got people on Facebook, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Substack. I mean, you could go on and on and on, and everyone's getting a high volume of content all day long, and it's very targeted to them, by design.
Yep.
And if we are not generating content to fill the pipeline and to fill the news feeds with new talking points, I mean, my God, we have more evidence of, incompetence in our leadership than ever. We should, like the Micah Beckwith stuff, like,
oh, dear God,
right? We don't,
yeah.
We don't handle that
of itself.
Yeah. Well, and again, they are, this is a very difficult time we live in because you're right. They have been way ahead of us and they're not ashamed of using AI. There's some guys that I keep an eye on because, they just make me a little nervous and they repost a lot of AI babble there's not a link. Yeah. There's not a link to the story they're talking about, but it's like, oh, they found Antifa has found.
They spent too much damn time on 4chan is what they've done.
Well,
and that's where a lot of them hang out on 4chan. That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if you know what 4chan is.
I'm pretty online. I mean, I'm familiar with, I had a guy from my hometown. He's blocked me on everything now, but I always was curious. Like he was adamant about the whole Q thing. Oh. The Q is real and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh boy. So there's a lot of,
conspiracy theories is where it's where MAGA was born. I mean, truly, I think MAGA was born of conspiracy theories, and was their first influencers that they went after. Those were the people that they really rallied together, and they got their voices out there first, because who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory? I'm not gonna lie, I've watched some documentaries back in the day, the JFK conspiracies, some of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. It interests people, and that's what instantly gets it. I mean, drama sells. It's telenuevo, right?
Yeah. I just wish we could all start focusing on that. It doesn't have to be this way, right?
It doesn't. But do you think, have Democrats become more interested in being right than being persuasive?
Yes. I say this all the time. Sell, don't tell. We have to sell people on the idea that we are, I mean, we're working uphill for some. But for people that aren't really paying attention, all we got to do is appeal to some common sense, such as handling objections well on social media. So when you see guys blowing off about school boards making dumb decisions about sports complex upgrades and things like that. We have to remind them that is dictated 100% by the state. The school board, chooses where to spend the money, but anybody that's been around government contracts know they always put the nicest stuff and they always overdo it. Things that could just be buffed up and reused, they'll just tear it out just because they got the money to do it. But there's no incentive for them to spend smart. And that's what we should be doing. We should be incentivizing school districts to spend smarter. We should give them greater control over their budgets, because the schools, the curriculum that is going to work in, we want to have a pretty consistent education, but like there needs to be some fine tuning based on the district that you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any of that flexibility today. I trust people that do like, this is the thing about, they don't trust anybody to do their job. They want to be all over you. They want to tell you how to do everything. But I trust teachers. I trust the education that they received on how to teach and how to get into children, get into the mind and make sure people are understanding basic concepts. Because if you look at the output of our education system today, we got some work to do.
All right, so I'm going to do some rapid fire, and these are going to be different questions. All right.
Okay.
Do Democrats spend enough time talking about costs? Yes or no? What about food?
Food?
Do they spend enough time talking about food, like food insecurity, those types of things?
I feel like we talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
I'd say okay.
Yeah. What about utilities and housing?
Not enough. We could still be talking about it more.
Okay. What issues do Democrats absolutely need to shut the hell up about for 6 months? Say the quiet part out loud. That's what the show's for.
They need to shut the hell up. Criticizing anybody outside of their own race. We got to focus on our own work.
By race, you're not meaning like color of skin. You mean like
yes,
they're okay. Somebody's going to take it and twist it around. And I already know I'm not letting anybody do that to you.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. So none of you people can get in there and fuck with these things. I'll make sure that gets fixed. What issues do Republicans refuse to admit exists? Everything.
A lot of them.
I know. That's a loaded question.
All of them.
I'll blame Beaky for that one. What do moderates misunderstand about progressives?
That they're fiscally irresponsible. That it's not a common thing that you have to know how to afford a life. And that's what we should be focused on. Because 40 hours a week of honest work, I don't care what position you're in, you should be able to not have to struggle or pick up a second job.
Or a third job.
And if you ask a Republican, especially an elected one, things have never been better. They are getting praise all over it's rough. But yeah.
I can tell you, as somebody who makes, I just left higher education. Today was my last day working in higher education. Now I'm actually going to be working in K through 12. I'm not going to say what. I'm not going to say where. But I am now going to be the operations coordinator for a brand new middle school that's being built here in the area. I'm pretty excited about that. Cool. But I can say that, I make a good living, but when I have to look at getting a second job, this is not my second job. I make no money from doing this show. This show actually costs me money, a lot of money, because let me tell you, the Beaky animations are not cheap, folks. Those are about $100 an episode. So for 4 clips of Beaky, runs me about $100 for the animation software that requires it. And I love it because I love Beaky to death. But we do need to make a better living. And I think we're seeing that across the board. Not that, my new employer is paying me great. I'm saying just everywhere, whether you work in education, whether you work in whether you see your orange tabby kitty. I've got 3 of them running around here somewhere. People are struggling. I mean, the middle class is struggling. The middle class has become the new low class. And that's the problem. And it's happened across the state. It's happening across the US.
Yeah. Well, and just to add to that, I found out that there's a lot of things changing with, the SCA1 impacts around things like transportation to sports. So now, depending on the sport that you play in, they've realized, hey, the athletes are going to have to kick in. I heard one was like $85 a season. Each kid is going to have to pay to cover transportation costs, because that's how. And listen, if we start decreasing opportunities for kids, I was very fortunate to be in a rural school where I could do a lot of everything because we didn't have that many, kids to fit the bill. And if we start removing opportunities or making it too expensive for some, boy, what a missed opportunity. I would love everyone to have the chance, whether it's sports that we should support. Every student should have, we're making them do all these career pathways. Why not have them have a hobby pathway?
I'm a big advocate of that, whether it's theater, whether it's show choir, whether it's a sport, whether it's being in the yearbook club or media. I don't know if they still do yearbooks. I was on a newspaper when I was in high school, and I don't think they do that anymore. But I 1,000% agree. I can't believe that they would be charging. This kind of brings up, and we're gonna have to get close. We're getting on 90 minutes now, but I think that's a whole nother show that we might have to talk about. Youth are leaving the state in droves, and I've had a lot of guests on already, and I've talked to a lot of guests that are coming up in the future. And in my research, every county I look at, it's from 18 to some are 24, some are 36. The number of people who are leaving the county between those ages of 18 and 24, 18 and 36, it's massive. And no wonder people are leaving. If you give them shit and you take everything away, what's the incentive to stay? And I think that that's something, regardless of what political party you're in, Republicans have done a terrible job. They're doing a terrible job now of thinking about that. Why are we losing so many people? It's because you've taken away everything from us, and you're giving it to the millionaires.
Yeah, I don't know what, like the CEO of NIPSCO and Duke, those dudes they make annually in total compensation over $13 million a year. Man, they must have crazy bills, because Kory, if you wire me $5 million, I might just disappear off the face of this earth.
For real. I'll be, you know how to pay me off to make me shut up. Give me $5 million. I promise you will never see me again. Ever. I am going to where there is no more people. Just be quiet. And that's going to show up the next time I run for Congress too. That's going to be a soundbite. It is. You can pay off Amyx.
And it's just funny though that they're making that kind of dough every year, and they haven't figured out, and we just let it happen. But I see Tiffany's. Oh
yeah. So, all right. Indiana has had Republican trifecta control for decades. Let's go rapid fire. Indiana, and I want you to tell me why, or whose fault, and how long voters should tolerate it. Indiana ranks 47th in education, 50th in environmental quality, 49th in chronic illness, 48th in public health, 47th in senior care. Why? Whose fault, and how long should voters tolerate it?
Well, we can't tolerate it anymore. What you just hit on about people not moving back to Indiana or trying to leave Indiana. What's the first thing you do when you're a young family? You look at where you want to kind of get roots. You look at the school systems, and you're going to have to look hard in Indiana to find a school system that's stable right now. like we already know there's 40 some school districts voting on referendums this fall.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to demand better in every one of those categories. And so there are no Democrats to blame. And we got to stay focused on Indiana. If I hear another thing about what California Democrats are doing and what New York Democrats are doing, I don't care. I'm talking about Indiana Democrats. We have some crazy talent that have been elected and are, Shelley Yoder. We have some great Indiana Democrats, but it's the Republicans' fault. They've been the one in charge.
Tiffany said, honestly, it feels like there is little incentive to live in Indiana. Rising electric, stagnant wages, marijuana is still illegal, and the awful voucher program. Where do you fall, just real quick, where do you fall with the marijuana? Are you recreational or medical, or what do you think?
I think that we should learn from our neighboring states who have already been in the legal, both medical and recreational. Learn from those different states and come up with a specific plan in Indiana. We have some of the best soil in the country.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that we could take advantage of what some people have chosen to do with their free time. Again, I think we're missing a huge opportunity, and I would love to see a way that allows a lot of local competition for production and distribution that doesn't just go to the big corporations, because they're already getting Delta 9 and other close cannabinoids. But I would love to see it with a focus on Indiana manufacturing.
Well, I will say it tonight, and I will invite you to come with me. I do have an exciting announcement to make in regards to this topic. I am going to be having a special series where I am traveling to Ohio and Michigan and Illinois to interview farmers. We're going to be interviewing lab testing. We're going to be interviewing the processors, as well as the dispensaries. And I'm working on a couple, I can't say who yet, but I have been in multiple talks with some state legislators over in Ohio and in Michigan, who may be sitting down with me to talk about how they got it passed. So I would invite you, if you would like to come with me, and if your schedule works out to it, you're welcome to come to learn about it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It's something that I'm going to put that invite out there to a few of my good friends that are running for office, like you. I'll be talking to Drew about it a little bit too, Drew Cox, to see if he wants to come, and a few others. I think it's important. I think it's going to be an important series to show. I don't smoke marijuana. Quite frankly, I hate the smell of it. It gives me a migraine. Yeah. But I did use that edibles, and I drove my happy ass to Michigan after my shoulder replacement surgery, where I am now metal from here to here.
Wow.
And I didn't have to take painkillers.
There's science.
You've got an opioid epidemic going on, and it's literally sitting in front of us. And the whole, this is just my 2 cents. I think the Indiana we would be doing a disservice to the industry and to Hoosiers if we just went medicinal only, because we're losing out on billions of dollars already to people driving like me that drove up to Michigan. And yes, I admitted to committing a crime on air. Sue me, come get me. My address is on file with the FEC, so you know where I live. And ain't nobody coming to get me for it.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And, Indiana being under Republican control, they've wanted to control a lot of things. We've only had buying beer on Sundays for what?
For what, 2 years, 3 years, something like that?
It's been
maybe it's been a little bit longer than that.
But still, we've really run this as long as I think we can without a common sense solution. So yes, and my opponent, He's been, pro marijuana. That is one good thing I can say about him. But
there you
I
go.
know that,
You can say that you've said something nice about him.
yeah, but I know that execution wise, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of friends. He's a corporate connected guy.
Well, that's what they're going to give it to. Look at
And
Victoria Sparks said the same thing, and she wants to give it to the corporate farmers.
Yeah.
It's going to kill the small farms.
We have such an opportunity to make Indiana whatever we want it to be. But when we keep electing leaders who get their legislation from ALEC, who fly to DC and get all excited when they meet with Trump, until we get new people down there that are focused on fixing things for Hoosiers, it's going to be more of the same, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Nate, it's 90 minutes. I've got, not even joking, I didn't even get through. I got 6 more pages.
Oh my gosh.
And shout out for the new graphics to my graphics team. We've got a new, for those, if you want to see, those are the new, it's the logos for the back of the cue cards. But I want to thank you for coming on the show and spending the 90 minutes with us. It's been fun. It went by fast.
I know. Well, I appreciate any opportunity to I do like making content because it's important for people to know who they're voting for. And I just want to get back to basics of things working like they should. We have subject matter experts across the district that they know that things aren't working the way that they should. But they haven't really had much of an option. So I'm excited to give them an option, and we're going to see how it turns out in November. So thanks for having me.
Well, I'm going to put you down in the green room. Stick around. We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
All right. So I've said this before, and I will say it again. I have a tremendous amount of respect for anyone willing to put their name on a ballot and step into public service. It isn't easy. It takes time away from family. It takes energy. It invites criticism, a lot of it. And it in districts like House District 38, plenty of people will tell you from day one that you don't have a chance. And I hope that they're wrong. I genuinely hope you win this race, Nate. Not because we agree on every issue, and not because I think any party has all the answers, but because competitive elections matter. Communities deserve choices. Voters deserve conversations. Democracy works best when people are willing to show up, knock doors, listen, and make their case directly to the people that they hope to represent. To everyone who tuned in tonight, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think this is the most I've ever seen the comments section come alive so far. Thank you for spending part of the evening with us. If you enjoyed tonight's conversation, please like, follow, and subscribe, and share the show. It really does help us continue bringing on candidates, advocates, experts, elected officials, comedians, and actual Hollywood actors are coming soon. And everyday Hoosiers just like you from all walks of life. A special thank you goes out to the print shop in Greenwood for sponsoring the official and exclusive Order of the Bluebird rent-free guest t-shirts that you see behind me. Every guest who survives 90 minutes in the hot seat earns membership in the Order of the Bluebird. And thanks to the print shop, they get to wear these awesome t-shirts to prove it. Also, beginning in July, Rent Free will be expanding to Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for our Down Ballot Candidate Series. If you're running for town board or township board, school board, city council, or county council, mayor, clerk, judge, or any other local office and would like to come on the show, I still have several openings available for Saturdays. Reach out and let's talk. I'd love to help introduce voters to the people like you who will have the biggest impact on their communities. Now, next Tuesday at 8 p.m., my guest will be John Wogenstall, who's in the comments. Shout out to John, who's running for Center Township Board right here in Hancock County. Unfortunately, folks, Beaky is still on assignment tonight, but we're hoping that he'll be back next week, assuming ICE hasn't detained him for being an undocumented migratory bird. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, keep asking questions, and remember, nobody should ever do your thinking for you. Good night, everybody.